My name is Hannah, and I was born in Kyoto, Japan. I grew up among the quiet temples, cherry blossoms, and soft voices of my family. For most of my childhood, life was peaceful, filled with books, traditions, and simple joy. But everything changed when I met David, an American boy online during my college years. He was kind in words, funny in messages, and gentle in the way he listened to me. I thought he was different from anyone I had ever known. We spent hours talking about music, films, and dreams. Day by day, I felt my heart leaving Kyoto and flying across the ocean. He told me stories of New York, of lights that never sleep, and streets full of dreams. In his voice, I heard adventure, freedom, and love. I was 22, young enough to believe in every promise. When he asked me to come to the United States, I said yes without fear. I thought love was strong enough to build a new world. I left my parents crying at the airport, holding letters in their hands. I whispered to them that I would be safe, that I would be happy. But in truth, I was trembling inside. The airplane took me far from the calm of Kyoto to the noise of New York. The city was huge, fast, and strange. Yet I carried hope like a shield. When I saw David waiting with flowers, my heart raced. In that moment, I believed my dreams were real. The first few weeks were magical. We walked in Central Park, we ate pizza by the street, and I laughed more than ever. I thought this was love, and I thought it would last forever. But slowly, shadows appeared. His smile grew colder, his words sharper, his patience shorter. He no longer held my hand when we walked. He criticized my accent, my cooking, even the way I dressed. I was confused. Wasn't this the man who once called me perfect? The home I had entered with hope began to feel like a cage, and I, a girl from Japan, began to understand the cost of leaving everything behind. The months turned into years, and the brightness of America dimmed. David stopped treating me as a partner and began treating me as a burden. He shouted when dinner was late, mocked my Japanese traditions, and laughed at my silence. I felt like a stranger in the very home I had chosen. Sometimes he would leave for days without telling me where he went. I cried into my pillow, wishing for the comfort of Kyoto's quiet nights. The friends he promised to introduce me to never came. Instead, I was left alone in a city of millions, invisible and voiceless. I had no family, no one to understand my pain, only his shadow over me. Every letter I wrote to my parents was full of lies. I told them I was happy because I could not break their hearts. But inside, my spirit was breaking piece by piece. I began to realize that love can turn into a prison when it is not mutual. The man I once trusted became the reason I feared each day. I worked in small restaurants, washing dishes to save a little money. I watched people laughing outside, free to choose their lives, and I wondered why I had given up my freedom for someone who did not value me. At night, I whispered to myself, never give your soul away for promises. Sometimes I thought of running back to Japan, but shame kept me trapped. I feared the world would laugh at me for being foolish. 10 years passed in this slow, painful rhythm. 10 years of pretending, surviving, and silently screaming. I was no longer the young girl who once dreamed of fairy tales. I was a woman carrying scars on her heart, scars no one could see. In those long years, I learned one bitter truth. Love without respect is only chains painted with pretty colors. I became a warning for myself, and for every girl who dreamed too fast. I wanted to stand before the world and say, do not give your life for illusions. The little voice of Kyoto never left me, whispering, come home, Hannah. And one day, I finally listened. When I stepped onto the plane back to Japan, my hands trembled. 10 years had passed since I last saw my homeland, and I was no longer the same girl. The moment the plane landed in Osaka, tears filled my eyes. I inhaled the air of my country as if it could heal me. The train ride to Kyoto felt like a journey back into my soul. Cherry blossoms were blooming, as if they had waited for me all these years. When I saw my parents, their hair whiter, their smiles softer, I broke down. I fell to my knees and apologized for leaving them for a dream that turned into dust. But they held me and whispered, "You are home now, Hannah." For the first time in 10 years, I felt safe. The streets of Kyoto welcomed me like an old friend. The temples stood tall, unchanged, as if guarding my broken spirit. I sat near the river where I once dreamed of America. Now I whispered to the water, "Dreams are not always true." I began writing my story, not to seek pity but to warn others. I wanted young girls to know that love is not just about sweet words. It must be respect, kindness, and truth, or it is not love at all. I told my friends and students, do not run blindly after promises across the sea. Your worth is not measured by someone else's attention. If a man makes you feel small, then he does not deserve you. I turned my pain into a lesson, my scars into wisdom. Slowly, I rebuilt my life, piece by piece, in the land of my birth. I planted hope where there was once regret. I found strength in the very weakness that once trapped me. Now, when I look at the young women of Japan, I see myself in them, and I tell them, protect your heart, for it is the most sacred gift you own. My story is not of failure, but of survival. Yes, I lost 10 years, but I gained a truth that will last forever. Love is beautiful, but only when it honors your soul. And as I walk under the blossoms, I whisper, Hannah has come home.